naive, but this all happened. So Paulson says, I need to take a bet against the housing market. There really wasn't a vehicle to do that. And over time, they developed these things called, you've probably heard of credit default swaps. Well, it's basically, that is insurance, in a simplistic way, that's insurance on that pool of loans, that if those loans go down in value, this insurance will pay off and make the person who invested in these loans whole. So basically, Goldman put together, Goldman put together these portfolios of mortgages, and what they allegedly did was let John Paulson pick out which mortgages would go into this pool. He picked the worst ones, the absolute worst ones, the lenders that had poor underwriting standards, ones with low down payments, all that. And then they sold this pool of loans to investors, which were banks in Europe mostly. And these banks were buying all these loans as a matter of course. And they bought this group of low-quality loans. Paulson was basically shorting the value of this insurance on the side. And months after this loan pool was put together, the defaults came into play, and these loans all just went bad. Paulson made a couple $1 billion. Clients who bought this pool of loans lost a bunch of money. So the case is basically revolving around, did Goldman do something wrong? And the SEC has basically gone out, sued them in civil court, saying that Goldman put together a portfolio of loans they knew would fail, and they basically deceived and defrauded these people who bought this pool of loans. Right? You probably read about some of this in the newspaper. All right, so you kind of fast forward, and Goldman's getting hammered, their stock price is down, people are saying they're not doing business with them, they're complete crooks. And I am no fan of Goldman Sachs, so I'm not up here to defend them. But I think as some further facts have come to light in the past few days, it's not as one-sided as it all originally appeared. And for one thing, as part of these very complex instruments that they're putting together, you had to have somebody shorting the insurance. It was a requirement. Every deal you let someone short. So this wasn't some complete new novel thing that Paulson was shorting these things and nobody knew about it. There was always a short involved. And the other thing that's come to light is the SEC is indicted Goldman Sachs, but it was a 3-2 vote of the commission. It wasn't unanimous. They're suing them in civil court. It's not a criminal indictment. And it's really a little more murky, especially when you think, well, what's going on right now? Congress is trying to pass financial reform, right? And it's not going all that great. So what better than this high-profile scandal showing the evils of the investment bank, especially Goldman Sachs, right? How evil they are, and the timing is a little suspicious. It's just a little suspicious. I'm not saying Goldman did anything wrong. Again, it's hard to tell. We'll have to see the facts. It's quite a funny story because, the guy behind all this, he calls himself the Fabulous Fab. Have you heard this? I think his name is Fabrice. So his nickname is the Fabulous Fab. I mean, it's just a great story. But I saw today that the House Oversight Committee has now subpoenaed the SEC to see what was their level of contact with President Obama and with the New York Times, where the story was leaked, to see how politically motivated this whole thing was. So, the plot just thickens. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out over the coming weeks and months.